Okay, just like in the game. Goody! Yeah!
Wild Hearts is a monster hunting game that has been developed by Koei Tecmo's Omega Force Studio and published by EA under the EA Originals label. EA was kind enough to send me an early review copy so I could check it out ahead of time and give you my impressions on the game. Omega Force is the studio behind titles like Dynasty Warriors, as well as multiple spin-offs on the Musou genre, such as Hyrule Warriors, One Piece Pirate Warriors, and many others. However, in my opinion, their previous game that I would consider most relevant to Wild Hearts is the Tokiden IP, which I believe was their first stab at a hunting game, and I covered it extensively on the channel as I greatly enjoyed it. But unfortunately, it never really saw major success here in the West due to it not enjoying a global release and initially being a PlayStation Vita exclusive. Having said all that, how is Wild Hearts then? Does it deliver a satisfying hunting experience? That is the question that I will be answering throughout this video by analyzing every aspect of the game that I've experienced so far. You'll notice the title of this video says Review in Progress. This is because I haven't finished the game due to the fact that I'm also recording the whole experience, and that takes a significant amount of time. My save file is currently north of 25 hours, but my actual playtime is around 40 hours or so because I've been testing both the PC version as well as the console version, and I've had to restart my save due to an issue with how Sony handles save files from different regions. This is not something you're going to be experiencing yourself, and it is completely unrelated to the game. But anyway, I'll wrap up this intro by saying I've been greatly enjoying my hunting experience so far. Wild Hearts is not perfect, but what it does bring to the table makes for a very enjoyable and refreshing hunting experience that has me constantly wanting to jump back in to bash some kimono face with my beefy hammer. There's definitely an adaptation period to the game's combat due to it feeling quite floaty and the necessity of using karakuri in the heat of battle. But once you overcome these two struggles, your ability to land combo finishers and karakuri counters is extremely satisfying. The challenge levels early on were also very refreshing. The second kimono I encountered was able to cause me to fail a quest because I wrongfully assumed I could just wing it without having proper knowledge of my weapon's mechanics. Wild Hearts was very quick to put me in my place and force me to learn a weapon. But one of the most surprising things about the game wasn't just the combat, it was how they tackled map exploration and how that influenced the way I hunted. But I'll dive deeper into that aspect when we get to the gameplay portion of this video. For now, let's dive into visuals and animation.
Go ahead.
When it comes to visual fidelity, Wild Hearts is a bit of a mixed bag. If you have a really beefy PC that can run the game at 1440p or 4K whilst still getting 60 FPS, the game looks great. It's not the most visually impressive game out there, but it looks really good. Now for some reference, my computer has a Ryzen 9 5900X, 32GB of DDR4 RAM, an NVMe drive, an AMD 6900 XT GPU, and it struggles to run the game at a decent frame rate at 4K. If I bump it down to 1440p and reduce the shadows a little bit, it runs super smooth, but in my opinion, for the visual fidelity on display, my system should be able to handle 4K without breaking a sweat. So this will definitely be one to keep an eye on for the Digital Foundry analysis, especially when it comes to the console side of things. As most console games nowadays, Wild Hearts provides us with the option to choose between performance and resolution. If you choose performance, the resolution is 1080p with a target of 60 FPS, even though I've experienced the occasional frame drop when the screen gets too busy. I believe this is due to the amount of detail on display at any given time, which is quite a lot. On the other hand, if you choose quality, you get what I assume is a checkerboard 4K, which doesn't really look fantastic, and it targets 30 FPS. Is the game playable? Yes. Is the experience enjoyable? Not so much. And the reasoning behind this is that whatever rendering technique they are using to reach 4K on consoles gives the monsters a terrible ghosting effect, which I found very unpleasant. It's almost as if the monsters have a strange morphing texture on top of their model that keeps trailing as they move through the screen. It's really weird because that doesn't happen at all when you're playing in performance mode, so I don't know what's going on there. Most of my time was spent playing on PlayStation 5 because it's more portable than my tower PC, which allowed me to play both in the studio as well as at home. And naturally, I've been playing it in performance mode because given the choice, I always default to a higher frame rate. The game is perfectly enjoyable in performance mode, but you do run into plenty of situations where you notice the shortcomings of some of the textures on display. It's not really enough to ruin your enjoyment, but it is enough to make you wish they'd put in a little more effort at optimizing the game and shoot for at least 1440p at 60 FPS. Beyond visual fidelity, I also experienced a few cases of texture pop-in both on console and on PC. It wasn't jarring and it didn't really bother me too much, but I know some gamers out there are particularly annoyed by this. Moving things over to the animations department, they are overall good but not exceptional. I appreciate some of the crazy impactful animations we get with several weapons and karakuri, but as mentioned in the intro, the combat is quite floaty. Most kimono hits will send your character flying, and if you dodge roll to recover faster, your character will slide unrealistic distances. While initially this is visually off-putting, you'll soon learn to use this distance to your benefit and understand that there are gameplay reasons for this, as otherwise certain kimono could easily combo you to death. In terms of cutscenes, once again, it's a bit of a mixed bag. Some cutscenes are very polished, mostly whenever the main characters are involved, whereas cutscenes involving less important characters are simply passable, which isn't a massive deal, given that most of your time is spent hunting and cutscenes are mostly secondary. Most of the main story cutscenes are also locked at 30 FPS. Art style and theme is where I think Wild Hearts truly excels. I really like the style they're going for, of vibrant, colorful locales with interesting looking creatures to hunt, and naturally I'm a sucker for Japanese aesthetics, so Azuma is a joy to explore. Now, I understand I've been very critical of the visuals so far, but it's important to mention a technical feature of the maps of Wild Hearts that I believe could potentially be linked to the aspects I've been criticizing. And that technical feature is that you can essentially build structures anywhere in the map. And these structures will not only show up in multiplayer, but also have functionality associated with them. I will dive deeper into this in the gameplay portion of this video, but suffice it to say that you can place camps that you can teleport to anywhere on the map, so long as you have enough resources. You can place radar towers that detect kimono. You can place usable zip lines all over the place, as well as geysers that propel you upwards, and these zip lines aren't static things that you unlock. You actually place down a turret, aim it, and create a zip line. The map also retains karakuri you've left behind from previous hunts, and most importantly, these maps are pretty big. They feature a lot of verticality, tons of visual detail, destructible scenery, and hidden collectibles. This is a very technically ambitious game, and these details are easy to overlook when you consider some of the downsides that I've been mentioning in this section of the video. So in conclusion, Wild Hearts is not the most visually impressive game and could definitely benefit from some optimization to improve performance on lower-end systems and consoles. However, these shortcomings were not enough to prevent me from greatly enjoying its gameplay loop, which I will detail further ahead in the video. When it comes to sound effects, Wild Hearts does a good job of bringing its world to life. From weapon hits to kimono roars and stomps, everything sounds accurate and is very immersive. The ambient sounds are also very well done. The sounds from Sukumos, which are collectible karakuri creatures you collect almost like Kodama dudes from Neo, they're also very well done and give you an audible cue to let you know that there's one nearby. No complaints whatsoever from an audio standpoint. The soundtrack is also very good. It is dynamic depending on whether you're engaged in combat and whether or not the kimono you are fighting is enraged. And there's even some subtle notes that will play when you're just exploring around the map, collecting resources, or placing new structures. In terms of voice acting, we again have the situation where, when the main characters are involved, everything is polished and sounds good. Whereas with the side characters, it's okay, but it is not on the same level.
Let it weave this seed into your soul. Let the spirits in the karakuri join your own. Let them drive you to hunt.
More lies! I mean, even if Daisuke was mauled by a kimono, that doesn't mean he was murdered first.
Why do you suppose he would have been murdered in such a place?
I will say, however, I wish the sound mixing had prioritized voices more, since I often struggle to hear what characters are saying during action scenes. Naturally, you can lower all the other audio to fix that problem, but I feel like the base level mixing could have been better. Overall, really good sound experience, good soundtrack, and decent voice acting.
Go there.
As mentioned in the title, this is a review in progress. I haven't yet finished the story, and I don't plan on rushing through just to ascertain how good it is, because I'm really enjoying the hunting aspect of the game, so I'm going to be taking my time, experimenting with weapons, completing side quests, and recording the whole process for you to enjoy. From what I've seen so far, the story has been enjoyable, but not exceptional. Without diving into spoiler territory, our character is given the special power of conjuring karakuri, which is apparently a lost technology that stopped functioning a long time ago. Taking advantage of this technology, we become an exceedingly powerful hunter that must protect the small town of Minato from being overrun by dangerous kimono. The plot then revolves around both protecting the town, learning more about the struggles of its people, exploring the origins of karakuri, and how it can be connected to the kimono phenomenon. As you tackle quests, there's an effort made to give your character some personality by allowing you to choose how to respond to certain dialogue. But so far it appears to be more of a let me roleplay my character, without any actual story implications from your responses, but it's still appreciated. However, one aspect that surprised me was that at one point in the story, after one of the major battles of the game, the town was holding a celebration, and I actually got to walk around town while people were celebrating and dancing, and relevant cutscenes and dialogue played out, which made the town feel less static than what I initially expected. I've enjoyed the story so far, and I'm curious to see where it goes. Even if it's not my main drive to continue playing, the extra effort is appreciated.
Go there.
Wild Heart's gameplay consists of what you'd expect from a monster hunting game. Hunt monsters, collect their parts, craft better equipment with better stats, hunt more powerful monsters, and repeat until you craft the most overpowered set imaginable. The game features 8 weapons. I've seen 3 of the hunting locales. I believe there's at least 4 of them, and I've seen a 5th location mentioned, which I still don't know exactly if it's a special boss area or a potential 5th map. These maps are also pretty big and dynamic, since certain maps apparently have seasons that change things up, but also your Dragon Karakuri can change the flow of how you navigate the map. According to the Wild Hearts Twitter account, there's over 20 kimono in the game. I don't know the exact number, as I'm currently still progressing through this title. The game's structure is as you would expect. There's a main story campaign, which will send you out in quests to hunt several kimono for story reasons, and whenever you hunt a kimono, a side quest will become available for that kimono to allow you to grind additional materials to craft new armor and weapons. You're also free to roam the maps whenever you want without a hunting target in order to collect resources, collectibles, or build new karakuri structures. As you can imagine, each weapon will feature different playstyles, but one thing every playstyle has in common is the fact they can use karakuri to spring weird contraptions to life to assist them in hunting. In case you're wondering whether the karakuri is mandatory while hunting, the answer is kinda. I mean, can you hunt kimono without ever using a karakuri? Yes. Is it efficient? Probably no. You need to look at karakuri the same way that you look at something like a barrel bomb, flash bomb, or other utility tools in Monster Hunter because that is the function they provide. You can create a platform that launches you in the air for aerial attacks. You can combine that platform into a massive wall to create a barrier that stops and counters kimono charges. You can create a spring that propels you forward, which can be used offensively to close a gap or defensively to dodge really far, because sometimes regular dodging is simply not going to be enough to avoid certain kimono attacks. You can create a cannon that shoots down fireworks that brings down flying kimono, which is similar to a flash bomb, and plenty of more tools. I could be here a lot longer diving into the intricacies of karakuri. Learning how to use karakuri in the heat of battle will take time, but it does eventually become second nature. And personally, I ended up enjoying it a lot more than I anticipated. So there's 3 types of karakuri. The basic karakuri that you create with a push of a button, like a spring or a crate. The fusion karakuri, which involved crafting several basic karakuri in a certain sequence in order to create a more specialized structure. Like for instance, you can create 3 springs on top of each other and that is going to generate a pounder, which is a massive spring-loaded hammer that interrupts certain kimono attacks. And then there's dragon karakuri. These are semi-permanent structures that use resources from dragon pits, but the way they make this system work is really well done and heavily encourages experimentation. So to simplify things, think of dragon pits as small power plants that you unlock and upgrade over time with materials that you can collect in the map. And dragon karakuri are structures that use the power the dragon pits are generating. The more dragon pits you activate and upgrade, the more structures you can build anywhere in the map. And the beauty of this system is that only active structures consume resources. So say if you build something, but then you regret building it because of where you placed it, or you don't like the functionality of the structure, or any other reason, you can instantly demolish that structure and lose no resources whatsoever. These structures remain in the map for all future hunts, and even if for some reason they are destroyed, because you can literally put up a tent in a location where kimono battles might occur, they automatically rebuild themselves once the battle is over. The functionality that Dragon Karakuri provides will greatly influence how you traverse the map, since you can strategically place towers that detect kimono in a certain radius so that you can easily track your prey. You can create a network of zip lines to get to each map location faster. You can deploy tents that allow you to teleport, and even artillery to fire other Karakuri or yourself into battle. And I think I'm only about halfway through the Karakuri tree at this point in the game. So now that you have a basic understanding of karakuri and how they influence hunting, what is it like to hunt kimono? Well, you jump into a quest, you track your target by either using a tower or establishing visual contact, and you engage in combat with the kimono. As you deal damage with your weapon in karakuri, it will either enrage, which gives it a few new moves and damage buffs, or it will run away to a different section of the map, just like any other hunting game. Now, the karakuri that you use are limited, which means that during the hunt, you might need to harvest more in the scenery, or you can also grapple onto the kimono, Dragon's Dogma style, and extract karakuri juice from them by pressing the left trigger over glowing open wounds. During a hunt, you can also create or change your existing Dragon Karakuri to better suit that hunt. Once you deal enough damage, you'll be prompted to hit the kimono with a finishing blow, at which point the hunt will end, unless it's a multi-kimono hunt, and then you'll have to go on and hunt the other kimono as well. You then get your materials and use them to upgrade your gear, which can be done in a town or in the map itself by using a forge that you can craft with Dragon Karakuri. I find the nuance of Wild Heart features kind of hard to present in video form, because as someone who's seen and analyzed plenty of gameplay videos on this game before, my perception of the gameplay versus the actual feel of the gameplay is completely different. For instance, I remember seeing footage of the bladed wagasa, which is the umbrella-looking weapon, and thinking to myself, that's not for me at all. When in fact, after playing the game, I found that weapon to be really fun and satisfying. And I think that for a lot of people, it's going to be the same with the Karakuri system. What I can tell you is the gameplay is a lot of fun despite the combat feeling quite floaty. And I'm personally enjoying it a lot, and I'm going to continue to play it for a significant amount of time.
Go ahead.
So far, Wild Hearts has been pretty fun. I understand people are very hesitant about this title because it's published by EA, but at this point there's no anti-consumer systems present in the game. There are currently no microtransactions, save for the deluxe edition cosmetic bonuses. There are no season passes. On the official website, they state that all future content in this game will be free, and there's also a statement that they say they currently have no plans for microtransactions. It seems to me like they're trying to establish a solid foundation for a new IP, and at this point, it's an IP that I'm having a lot of fun playing. I'm sure I'll have more to say once I finish the game, but for now, it's just a really fun game that manages to carve its own style in the hunting genre, and to me, that's a good thing. Let me know what you think about it in the comment section below, and look forward to the series that will be hitting the channel, as well as a few guides as time allows. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video or it was helpful in any way, consider leaving a like and subscribing for more content like this. I'll see you in the next one. Stay strong, stay safe, peace out.